What's up, guys? Well, I was lucky enough to be able to check out the first 2 episodes of the upcoming Halo TV series a little bit early. It's going to be dropping on Paramount Plus at the end of this month, I believe the 24th. And I wanted to give you my first impressions of the show so far. Now, things to keep in mind for this quick little first impressions review is that, one, I've only seen the first 2 episodes, so can't comment on how the whole show is going to be, just what idea I have thus far with 2 hours of the show being in my head. And the other thing is pretty important is that I'm a casual at best Halo fan. I've only played and completed the first 2 games, Halo Reach and Halo Infinite. I've dabbled in the others, but I've just never really been a big fan of the video game series until Halo Infinite. That's genuinely one of my favorite games of the past couple of years. So Halo Infinite rising my Halo fandom quite a bit, paired with the awesome first trailer, in my opinion, of this show. I've been very excited for what this might bring. And I'm here to tell you that if the rest of the show is on par with the level of quality that I just saw in the first 2 episodes, this might be reinventing how we look at video game adaptations on the big screen. In fact, I'll go out on a limb and say that if the rest of the show is on par, as well as if The Last of Us TV series that's coming next year is the level of quality that I'm hoping it's going to be, you're going to start to see a lot more TV series adaptations of video game properties and not so much wasted time and effort on making it a 2-hour film, when a lot of these properties, like Halo, would not make sense in a 2-hour format. So starting off with the positives for the first 2 episodes of the show, I love the production value, I love the sound design, I love the special effects, I love the attention to detail as far as the character models, as far as the Covenant characters, as far as the Spartan suits, even the little heads-up display. You get a few POV shots and it's straight out of the video game. You got your shield, you got your little radar and everything like that. There's even a point where Master Chief loses his shield and the sound is right out of the game where beep, 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 beep. And I was like, little details like that, they can bring a tear to the eye of a video game fan. Thank you. I think the show thus far is doing a really good job at setting up a very different type of storyline that we have not seen Master Chief go on. This is leading up to the events of the first game, Halo. I'm not sure if this is going to be a Season 2 that's going to be the first game, or if eventually in this season we're actually going to get into the storyline, but so far there is no Halo. There is events leading up to it, there is mentions of it. That's kind of the main struggle that we're introduced to between the USNC and the Covenant, is that the Covenant's trying to find these artifacts to be able to find the Halo. So I'm not sure when we're going to get there, but this timeline-wise is a little bit before the first game. And the way that they're exploring the USNC as well as the Covenant, there's a lot of politics in here, which I think is really interesting. It's almost taken a page out of Star Wars to a certain degree, which I'm not just saying that on a surface value. I know it's space things, so it's easy to make that comparison, but it genuinely feels like 2 species that have their motivations, that have their mindsets, their ideologies, and it's showing 2 different sides of the coin of why they're trying to accomplish their goal and why they're trying to prevent the other side from accomplishing their goal. And they even do quite a bit in the first episode, especially at really establishing some of the corruption and some of the moral ambiguity of the USNC, which is something that, in my limited experience with Halo, I have never seen before. They've always just kind of been background noise where we always focus on Master Chief and his journey. And I think it was really interesting how they start to put a spotlight on some of the things going on behind the scenes that maybe Master Chief doesn't completely line up with, maybe some things that he flat out doesn't agree with, and start to raise some questions about whether or not he's going to take that bullshit or not. We also get introduced to this character, Quan, who has kind of become, by the second episode, a co-lead with Master Chief. Now, Master Chief still holds most of the screen time, so again, I don't know if that will change later on in the season. I know that there was rumblings about 2, 3, 4 weeks ago where they were saying that there was going to be a female lead and Master Chief was going to be more of a side character, and the internet did what the internet did and lost their shit. I don't know if that's going to be the case in episodes to come, but at least in the first 2 episodes, Master Chief is very much the star of the show, but it's her storyline that is taking the focus. She is the one that is kind of the inciting incident for the events that this first season is going to get into, and she's the one that's starting to bring out a lot of the humanity and a lot of the characterization of Master Chief. So maybe that's what they were talking about, that she was going to be the narrative focus, but Master Chief thus far is still very much the focus of the show. But beyond that, Quan is a really interesting character. Not going to get too much into the events of the first 2 episodes, but there's something that happens where she is violently introduced to the Covenant, as well as some of the moral ambiguity of the Spartans and the USNC, and she very much becomes a chess piece in that little bit of a feuding war that's brewing between those two factions, and Quan and Master Chief's personal journeys very much collide with each other. Action in the first episode, holy shit. You want to talk about fan boners. I mean, we saw snippets of it in that trailer, but there is like a 5 to 7 minute action sequence that was just fucking incredible. It was well choreographed, it was intense, it looked awesome as far as all the special effects. It looks right out of the video game, from the weapons that we're seeing, from the way that the Covenant characters move, to the way that the Spartan characters move and how they're taking out each other, and even to the point where I was actually surprised how bloody and violent it got. For some reason, it always escapes me that Halo is mature rated for the most part. So the first person that gets killed just literally explodes into like a blood bubble when this plasma blast hits him, and I was like, holy shit! Yes! And for the little bit that I've seen of him thus far, I'm also really enjoying Bokeem Woodbine's character of Soren. He's one of those character actors that he has always been around, and you kind of forget about him until he shows up and you're like, oh my god, I love that guy. And he's awesome here. The dynamic and the relationship and the complication of the relationship between him and Master Chief is a really interesting storyline that I hope is going to get explored a lot more throughout the season. So even side characters and side stories and things that are going on in the background from the main plot of the show is very, very interesting to me thus far. Moving on to the mixed, and the main thing is Master Chief himself. Now, don't get scared, because I need to see more before I say whether or not I'm fully on board with this or not. And I'm mostly curious on how hardcore Halo fans are going to take this. So, obviously, they have cast the role of Master Chief. It is Pablo Schreiber. I always call him Pornstache from Orange is the New Black, but he's been in a lot of more action-packed stuff. He was in Den of Thieves. He's a really good actor. He's got a good screen presence. I like his voice. But it's not the iconic voice from the video games. And so I know when you're doing a live action adaptation, you have to recast. There's got to be something different there. I'm curious how hardcore fans are going to take it when they don't hear that iconic voice come out of Master Chief's armor and it's this totally different actor. It takes a little bit to get used to. And the main reason why they couldn't just keep him fully in armor and just have the voice actor from the video game come in and continue on his legacy as Master Chief is because they made a creative decision to show Master Chief's face, and they show it a lot in the first 2 episodes. I don't know, again, if that's going to be just these 2 episodes, if it's going to be a lot more throughout the series, but there is quite a bit of screen time, especially in the second episode, where Master Chief is fully out of his armor interacting with other humans, and I don't know how I feel about that yet. And I really don't know how the fans are going to take it. Is this going to be like a Judge Dredd situation where like him taking off his helmet is just such a betrayal of the character that people are going to flip out? Or is this something different, a new side of Master Chief that we've never seen before that's actually going to be a really interesting exploration of that character? We will see. Time will tell. I haven't seen enough to really be able to tell you one way or another. I just seeing him out of his armor for the little bit of experience I have felt odd. Now, on one hand, it does allow you to connect with his character a little bit more. It brings a little bit more humanity. I mean, it gives him a face, so it makes him feel a little bit more human than just green armor guy. And so I think when you're doing a TV series where you're going to spend a lot of time on storyline and dialogue, and it's not just Master Chief going around in first person shooting things, you kind of need to do that to explore the character more and to bring a new shade to the character that we have not seen in the video games. And I certainly champion that, because why just recreate everything we've seen in the video games when we have that? Try to do something a little different, or take it in a direction that we have not completely seen before, while holding on to the heart of what Halo is, which I think so far in 2 episodes, they've done very well. So all in all, guys, I really enjoyed the first 2 episodes of Halo. I'm really looking forward to seeing the rest of this season when it premieres at the end of this month. I hope you guys are looking forward to it as much as I am, and hopefully this first impressions gave you a little bit more hype for the show, while maybe adjusting your expectations for some of the details that us fanboys can get a little crazy with sometimes. It's different, what are you doing? Hold off. Let's give him a chance. Let's give them a chance, see what they're doing. So all in all, very, very excited for what this show could be, excited for what it might do for changing the conversations of how we do video game adaptations, and also very excited about how it might make me even more of an Halo fan than I currently am. So let me know down below, guys, what are your expectations? What are you looking forward to and are the most nervous about with the Halo TV series? Is Halo your favorite video game franchise? What's your favorite Halo game? Let's talk Halo down below. And come back after you have seen the first episode or two and have a little bit more of a spoiler-filled conversation down below, which obviously we can't have right now and we should not have right now. So come back, talk with me a little bit more in detail in a couple of weeks when you see the show. But for now, please like and share this video. Hit that subscribe button if you are a fan of the Halo TV series, because I will be doing a full review of the entire series. And I also have a video game channel. So if you are a fan of video games, if you're a fan of the Halo video games, go over to Cody Leach Game Chamber. The link should be down in the video description below. And subscribe over there as well if you like video game content. I got my Elden Ring review coming out very soon. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, remember, opinions are like assholes, but that doesn't mean that you have to be.